In fact, this is this one thing that holds you back from living an extraordinary life, from living an amazing spiritual life, from having that wonderful experience in your relationship life. It is really that victim state. The victim state, the victim consciousness that we are stuck in, that holds us back from really, truly healing. And what do I mean with that victim state? So victim mentality is basically, I cannot live the life that I want to live because of my health, because of my partner, because of my job, because of my karma, because of Mercury retrograde, because of God, because of so many different things. Because I was born in the wrong place at the wrong time in the wrong family, always excuses. Victim mentality is like that. I cannot be who I truly want to be because. Now what happens when you think like that, and let's be honest, we all, unless you're like the enlightened Buddha, we all have that mentality somewhere down in us. If it's not conscious, it's subconscious. That mentality that we believe we cannot be who we truly want to be. We cannot live the life that we truly want to live because, and then so many things come up. Now the victim mentality, interestingly enough, is not just this passive state where we like become depressed and feel like we're not enough and not so much is happening, but with that victim stage is also the opposite, the controller in us. The victim and the controller mentality in us. These two things, we need to give them both up. And the controller is just like the victim stage, it just looks externally very differently. Because here it's about taking action. Here it's about taking your self-worth and self-esteem through external success and external achievement, through suppressing others. It's basically, when you are the controller, you want to feel good by controlling everything around you. This can come out in a very light way, like a perfectionist, but it can also come out in a very dark way, like a narcissist. And this mentality, if you look back in history on this planet, we see this mentality a lot. We see really that people suppressed other minorities, and it's still happening today. So much suppression is going on. So you always have the victim and the controller. The controller can easily become an abuser of power, abuser of so many different things. Yeah, in religions and institutions, you see so much of that. The victim people that believe that they're unworthy and stuck and God hates me and so on and so forth. And the controller that is kind of abusing that mentality. And most of us, we have both in us. Both of us, we have this controller mentality as well. And both of them come from being stuck in survival mode. We are not actually connected to our authentic self, but we're stuck in this survival mode. Let me just check if the camera is running. Yeah. So survival mode means that you're basically in a fight-flight response. You believe there is a threat out there to hurt you. Now, if you look at the animal kingdom, if a deer perceives some threat because a tiger or lion is there to hunt the deer will run away and be in a fight-flight response, mostly in a flight response. But then, once the danger is over, the deer will calm down again and eat the grass and be peaceful. With us humans, it's very different because we can be stuck in survival state 24/7. We can always be stuck in that survival mentality and that survival state, and constantly. Because survival mentality means we are stuck in a stressful state. We experience the emotion of stress. And then what do? We surrender to the situation. Oh, my boss is so hard to me at work, or my wife or my husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, they really hurt me. Now I can't be who I want to be. I'm a victim. Or things don't work out. Let me control them. Let me assert dominance. Let me show my superiority, which is an artificial illusion to hide low self-esteem. Don't be confused. A narcissist also, it's not that they have high self-esteem because it's all about I, me, and mine. No, inside of them, it's very lonely, very dark, and they feel actually very, very lonely and sad, yeah, and fearful. But they show it by going in this more aggressive, dominant role. And the victim goes by running away. You know, there's fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Fight is very obvious. We fight back. The deer is attacked. It starts to fight back. Rarely happens. Flight response, run away. Freeze response in us humans is basically depression, where you lived in so much denial that you really believe you can't be who you want to be, you can't live the life that you want to live, you believe it so much that you go in a state of depression or even worse. And fawn is when you try to please others. You try to please the other person. And the fawn type of response and the narcissist always find each other. Because the victim states something is wrong with me, so I always need to sacrifice myself. So I need to win the other person over through pleasing them, doing whatever they want. That type of person actually will develop a lot of resentment and anger inside of them. So you see, this is quite complex. You believe you're a victim, you become that victim, or you go in that controller state. If you are in this video, then you will be more stuck in the victim state and maybe sometimes in the controller state. And then you go into this survival response, fight, flight, fawn, freeze, and you constantly live in the state of stress. And what that will do is it will completely disconnect from yourself. And why do you disconnect? Why are you in that survival response? Because you do not feel safe. You don't feel safe within yourself. You don't feel comfortable within yourself. And therefore, you go out, you disconnect from your body. And the empath the victim mentality tries to find safety by pleasing others or by avoiding situations, by going in their cave. And the controller type of person, the narcissist, asserts dominance, wants to control every little aspect of their life. And we have that in the light version too. We try to control everything around us so that we feel safe. Yeah, my partner should be in a certain way, my job should be in a certain way, the weather should be in a certain way, then I can feel good about myself. And if I can't do that, then I will do everything I can to control everything around me. But essentially, it's the victim state. Because essentially, I need to do something outside of myself, or I cannot do anything to live the life that I want. There is no natural expression of the soul. There is no natural expression of the self. Yeah. Now, again, victim state comes from survival state. Survival state comes from not feeling safe. Now, why do we not feel safe? Because actually we have a delusional experience of safety. Because for our mind, safety is whatever is familiar. I will say that again. For our mind is safety whatever is familiar. And if our childhood experience was a constant state of fear, of guilt, shame, anger, grief, then that has become our safety. Now, whenever we actually want to change, whenever we feel good about ourselves, when we feel good about life, then our mind will be like, wow, this is not safe. You actually feel love, you feel gratitude. Let me go back to that shame, to that anger, to that fear, and we sabotage ourselves back into those lower states of emotions. One of the ways where this comes really out is in relationships. I have so many people I work with, they meet a really nice man or a really nice woman, fits perfectly, but they don't want that because they don't feel safe with healthy love. They want that toxic relationship because that reminds them of their childhood and their mind tells them that is safety. When you feel that shame and that guilt, that's when you feel safe. Therefore, when a person is with a narcissist, for example, they can't really go out of that relationship. When a person is with an abuser, it's not like they see, oh, you're an abuser, so let me leave that relationship. No, they can't do that because their definition of safety is abuse. One second. So you can see that whatever we define, whatever our mind defines as safety, is always what we want to go after. Now, how do we break that conditioned mentality of safety, that conditioned definition of safety of the mind? Well, first of all, we need to get out of that survival state. We need to go from the victim and survival state into a creative state where we express something to the world that's in our heart. It can be art, it can be music, it can be creating a business, it can be teaching, it can be protecting others and standing up for a good cause. Whatever it is, it has to be something that comes from your heart and soul that really wants to come out. Because that's how you move from the survival state into the new creative state. You open your heart, you express yourself, you express what's inside yourself. That's one part of the truth. With that together, very important, you start to recondition your mind to new positive emotions, authenticity, joy, gratitude, love, self-worth, self-esteem. You transform your new state. You transform into a new state of new emotional safety. You recondition your mind completely. And that, in my opinion, is only possible through some type of meditation. Why? Because you need to access these deeper states of consciousness. If you just stay in your conscious mind and you don't go to your subconscious mind. In conscious mind and yoga, it's manas and buddhi, and the subconscious mind, the deeper mind, is the chitta. If you don't access that inner deeper state where all these different lower emotions of shame, guilt, fear, anger, grief are saved and not processed, because that's the problem. There's nothing wrong with shame, anger, fear, guilt, and shame. There's nothing wrong with that. It's because they're not processed, and because they're stuck inside ourselves, and because they create beliefs that I'm not worthy, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not lovable. That's when it becomes really an issue. But when it's transformed, channeled, expressed, healed, the chitta, the subconscious mind becomes clear, then new emotions can take place. Then gratitude, joy, love, healthy form of pleasure, all of that can manifest inside of ourselves and can be expressed. But only through meditation and prayers can we access the subconscious state. There are other modern scientific ways of where they kind of like bring you into deeper brain waves, new brainwave states, through different technology. That's also possible, but that's just another way of meditation. Even if you take psychedelics, it just brings you in a deeper state of consciousness. By the way, I don't recommend that so much because I believe it's better to train yourself to access deeper states of consciousness. It will take longer, but you go really deep and it's much more healthy, in my opinion. Now, you recondition your subconscious mind. You start to express with authenticity what's inside yourself. You start to experience who you actually truly are, and you start to express that. You start to act, you start to move forward. Then healing can really manifest. And in my opinion, one of the most powerful ways to do that is through inner child work. Now hear me out, because there's so much stuff about the inner child out there. But inner child work needs to go to a subconscious level. You need to go really deep. And it's not just that you access one state where you were 2 or 3 years old. No, the philosophy behind the inner child work is that you find in your true self the state of love. And then you go out to these different other samskaras, different impressions of your consciousness, and you infuse them with love, you heal them, you infuse them with safety, you infuse them with love, because that is where trauma comes from. Trauma is basically you are not feeling safe, you're disconnecting from your body, You're disassociating from yourself, and then that trauma lives in you. But when you access through inner child work, such a simple and easy way to access these memories, not that we go through every single memory of our childhood and go from one thing to another thing and we get stuck in the past. No, we go to some essential things and we infuse them with love. We love ourselves in the past, in the present, in the future. And inner child work can access that. Hurt inner child, then the loved inner child that feels healed, safety and love. And then we can go even deeper and we can go to the divine child within us. The divine child is actually the soul. Jesus Christ said you have to be like a child, innocent of a child, to enter the kingdom of God. And the Puranas mention also that when you're in a state of an innocent, pure child, that's when you can achieve the divine. So the inner child, by the way, what is the inner child? It is basically the version of yourself that you can still access, that is still authentic, that is still pure and innocent before you got messed up by all different types of things. Which is, by the way, your very purpose of incarnating. Don't think you got it wrong, God got it wrong by making you incarnate in a particular family. No, that's very much wanted. So you can heal these different things. Many of us healers, guides, spiritual people, we had sometimes a painful childhood because we go out of that shadow, we transform that shadow, we bring it into the light, and then when we have achieved that light, we can start giving that light to others, and we can actually have compassion for others because we know what it is like to be in that hurt, in that painful, in that shadow state. Okay? So that is really why inner child work lets you access those purest parts of yourself, but also those darkest parts of yourself. And you have to go deep to get there. And it's something you can practice once you trained yourself at any time, at any moment, because there's always more opportunity for love. There's always opportunity for more joy in your life. It's unlimited because ultimately love is transcendent and unconditional. And the more you experience that, the more it starts to grow with you. And yes, sometimes you might fall back into old things because the mind craves the familiarity of the past, the shame, the anger, the guilt, the shame. But the more that love becomes strong in you, the more you love yourself, not because you're beautiful or because you achieved anything in life. You just love yourself for just who you are as a human being. Just for the fact that you're breathing. That's unconditional love. I love you just for who you are. With all your shortcomings and with all the good things, with all the shadow, with all the light, I love you just the way you are. When that happens, when you start to feel that for yourself, in your most painful movements, instead of beating yourself up, you just love yourself unconditionally, then you will take off like a rocket. And then you will make a true difference on this planet. Thank you so much. And as always, if you want to go deeper, use my meditations. I've created them for you so you can go deeper, so we can heal together, grow together, and make this planet into heaven, because heaven is here. It's not a geographical destination. Heaven can happen here right now. All the best.